All right, let's talk about your bones. We tend to think of them as, just the frame that holds everything up. Solid, stable, and maybe a little bit boring. But what if I told you that everything you thought you knew about your skeleton is completely wrong? Today, we're going to rebuild that whole idea.
Seriously, think about it for a second. What's going on inside your bones right this very moment? If you're picturing something quiet, still, maybe a little chalky and dead, you are in for a huge surprise. The reality is so much more dynamic and honestly, way cooler.
Yeah, you heard that right. So just toss out that old image of a static skeleton. I want you to picture this instead. Your bones are a massive, bustling construction site that never, ever closes. We're talking 24/7 renovations, upgrades, and maintenance.
And this idea right here is going to be the key to this whole explainer. We're not looking at your skeleton as a finished building, but as a project that is always in progress. So you might want to grab a hard hat because it's time to meet the crews. Okay, so on any big construction site, you've really got two main teams, right? First, you have the builders. Their sciencey name is Osteoblasts, and their only job is to construct new, strong bone. Then you have the demolition crew, the Osteoclasts, and their job is just as critical. They clear out the old, worn-out bone to make way for the new stuff. It's this perfect, constant cycle.
Now here's where things get really crucial. For your bones to stay strong, these two crews have to be in perfect balance. Osteoporosis is basically what happens when that balance gets thrown off, when the demolition crew starts working way, way faster than the builders can possibly keep up. More bone gets torn down than built, and the whole structure gets weaker. So the big question is, can we help the builders get an edge? Well, what's so fascinating is that scientists are studying these specific compounds from nature that might just help us manage this internal construction site. Think of them as specialist crews you can call in to help the main teams work better. Today, we're going to zoom in on 4 of these potential specialist crews that researchers are really looking into for bone health. We've got astaxanthin, omega-3s, resveratrol, and theaflavins. So let's go check out what's on their resumes. All right, so how exactly do these specialists help out? Well, according to the research, each one brings a very specific and very important set of skills to the job site. Let's break them down. First on the list is astaxanthin. For this one, I want you to think of the Site Foreman, the master coordinator. This is the specialist whose main job is to manage a bunch of different things at once to make sure the entire project runs smoothly. And this list really shows what it can do. First, it seems to send out get-to-work messages directly to the builder crew. It also protects the whole site from what you could call rust or damage. Scientists call it oxidative stress. On top of that, it acts like a peacemaker, calming down any disputes or inflammation that could slow down construction. A real multitasker. Okay, next up, we've got the omega-3s. This crew is your logistics and safety team. Super important. They're in charge of getting supplies where they need to go and just making sure the whole crew is safe and supported. And their duties are absolutely vital. I mean, they help manage the delivery of calcium. That's the most essential building material on the whole site. They also act as an antioxidant force, protecting the workers from damage and burnout. And yep, just like our coordinator, they help keep those job site disputes, inflammation, to a minimum so everyone can stay focused. Now, let's meet Resveratrol. You can think of this one as the site's efficiency expert. This specialist isn't about doing the building itself, but it's all about making sure the whole process runs smarter, faster, and just plain better. So how does it do that? Well, for one, it supercharges the site's own internal cleanup crew to handle waste and damage. It can also kind of mimic some of the actions of a key project manager, estrogen, which is so important for bone health. And maybe coolest of all, it seems to be able to flip the main on switch for the builder crew, basically getting them all primed for action. And our final specialist crew, Theaflavins. Now, their role sounds pretty simple, but it is absolutely crucial. They are the site's security guards. Their entire job is access control. So here's how they seem to work. On the site, you've got these signals called wrinkle. Think of them as troublemakers trying to get the demolition crew all fired up to start wrecking things. But you also have these helpful proteins called OPG, and they're like the bouncers that stop those signals. What the science suggests is that theaflavins act like the head of security. They boost the bouncers and they block the troublemakers. It's all about keeping the demolition crew in check. Okay, all of that sounds incredibly promising. But before we get too carried away, it is essential that we pause for a quick and very, very important reality check. This right here is probably the single most important takeaway from this whole thing. This quote comes directly from the source material. And while the studies are fascinating, let's be crystal clear about this. None of these compounds are FDA-approved treatments for osteoporosis. This is emerging science, not established medical advice.
So what does this all mean for you? Well, it means your first step, your most important step, should always be to talk to a qualified healthcare professional. They can give you advice that's actually tailored to your specific health needs and your situation.
So where does all this leave us? Well, it leaves us with a really powerful new way of thinking about our own bodies. It's about understanding how we can help build a strong future for ourselves, literally, from the inside out. Look, the key takeaway is this. Your bones are not passive objects. They are an active, incredible, lifelong construction project. And you know who's in charge? You are. You're the project manager. And the choices you make every single day can help your internal crews thrive. And this all leaves us with one last, really exciting question to think about. We've seen how these compounds from nature could potentially influence our bones. So it just makes you wonder, what other incredible health secrets are hidden in the food we eat, just waiting for science to finally unlock them? Definitely something to chew on.